traveling, malevolent as I've ever been. Head is spinning, this medicine screaming, dick, 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 let us in it, dick, dick, like a salad bowl. Edgar Allan Poe, bedridden, should have been dead a long time ago. Liquid Tylenol, gelatin, sneak my.
In 2007, we had Venom, played by Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3. Now it's 2018, and we have Venom, played by Tom Hardy. And it actually isn't that bad, you know? I actually saw it twice during the opening weekend. So, let's get into it. This is Spidey Live's Venom Review. Venom is directed by Ruben Fleischer. He's mainly known for Zombieland. And actually, this movie wasn't as bad as everyone says. And here's why. It's enjoyable. Let's get that out of the way. It's an enjoyable film, and I had fun watching it. And I watched it twice, as I said in the beginning. And it works in many, many ways. But it also has a lot of its flaws. But I'm going to talk mainly more about what I enjoyed first, and then we'll talk about the things I didn't like towards the end of the review. So, what was good about Venom? Let's start talking about Tom Hardy's performance. His performance was actually really good in this movie. It's not Oscar nominated type of performance, you know, but it was actually really good. I did get that Eddie Brock vibe from Tom Hardy. And then his relationship with Venom was probably the best thing about this movie. Just hands down, probably the best thing about this movie. Every time I talk to my friends about Venom, I'm always like, the portrayal of Eddie and Venom, you know, their relationship together is actually really good. And I think that works well because Tom Hardy does, of course, both roles. He does the voice of Venom in that symbiote voice, and he also plays the role of Eddie. And I guess since he knows these two characters and he's playing both of these characters, it's easier for him to, you know, just have that conversation with himself. And I guess that works in many ways. And you can see that on screen, that, you know, Venom and Eddie have this bond right away. Actually, in the beginning of the film, you see that the symbiotes don't really bond with a lot of hosts just because, you know, they don't like it. They're not compatible in a way. They don't really go into depth about that, but you can tell that Eddie and Venom do have this bond type of relationship, and it works well in the movie. So, what are your thoughts on the villain? Oh, wait, thank you for asking. Oh, yes, of course. Also, can we get that James Brown back? We kind of, that it worked a lot better in the beginning of the video when we had James Brown. Thank you. That's much better. The villain honestly sucked. It lacked in motivations. He was a weak character. I didn't like him. This is Carlton Drake, of course. He was played by Riz Ahmed. I believe I'm pronouncing his last name wrong. But he was played by Riz, and he's actually a really good actor. And they fed him really bad lines. And he made these lines actually sound pretty dope. But if you give these lines to another actor, they're not going to sell it like this guy did. So these lines are actually really bad. They're kind of cheesy. But not only that, let's talk about his motivations. At the beginning of the film, he talks about how he wants symbiotes to be inside their bodies. That way they can live in space, right? And then Eddie interviews him and he tells him that, oh, you're testing on subjects, you know, that are going to die anyways. So you're basically killing people. And Carlton Drake doesn't like this. So he pretty much gets Eddie fired. Well, Eddie, I guess, kind of fired himself for snooping around. But pretty much Eddie loses his job and everything. Okay. And then we have Carlton Drake, who finds these symbiotes. And then Riot makes a whole way around the world just to get to Carlton Drake. And Riot's motivations are, hey, we need to go back up to space, bring back more symbiotes, so we can eat you guys, because you guys are our source of food. And then that's it. And then the only reason it becomes a battle is because Venom didn't like that idea for some reason, because at the beginning of the film, Venom said he wanted to eat humans. That's why they're there. And now they completely changed it around. That Venom was like, you know what, I'm going to help you. And there isn't really a reason why we know why Venom is helping Eddie defeat Riot. Like, all he says is, because in my planet, I was a loser, like you. Which is a funny line, but why was he a loser? And then Eddie's like, no, for real. Like, why did you change your mind? Why do you want to help us? And that kind of answered I guess, the audience question, because at the beginning I was like, no, that can't be the reason. And then Eddie goes ahead and asks, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to get the actual answer. And then Venom just says, you're the reason I changed my mind. What about Eddie? We get it that they bonded. We get it that they have a really good connection with each other. But why did Eddie change his mind? Did he realize that humans have more I don't know, I guess feelings to them, or they have a life. I don't know. So that was really something I didn't like about the movie, that they didn't explain. And then the villain, like I said, his motivations were weak, and there was just that. And I mean, if you guys liked it, I mean, by all means, it's cool. But I personally just didn't like the villain at all. So initially, I was gonna have a picture right here that says, "What were your thoughts on the movie without Spider-Man?" But I'm just gonna say it. What were your thoughts on the movie without Spider-Man? Honestly, this movie works really good without Spider-Man. I always thought, how are they going to make this work before watching the movie? Going into it, it works fine. I didn't see any reason for Spider-Man to be there. Of course, if Spider-Man were to be there, there'd need to be a Spider-Man movie before this one where he gets symbiote, and this one would be where, it goes to Eddie. And it'd be a completely different movie. But honestly, it works fine. They did the thing where Eddie hits rock bottom, and the symbiote goes to him as he hits rock bottom. So I thought that was fantastic how they played it out. Of course, I have a couple of complaints with it, which is, again, in the movie in general, I have a couple of complaints how, like, the villain was weak and how I thought, this could have been better. But overall, I didn't see any reason for Spider-Man to be there. And as I said earlier, if Spider-Man were to be in this movie, it'd be a completely different movie. So what are my final thoughts on this movie? I actually enjoyed it. I actually give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. I would definitely recommend people to go watch it. It's a fun Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man. And I genuinely enjoyed it. For the people saying they won't support a Venom movie because it doesn't have Spider-Man, I mean, just enjoy the fact that we have a Venom movie. Enjoy the fact that despite of Spider-Man 3, we're getting a Venom movie. And just enjoy the fact that we live in a time where they're making movies like this, anti-hero movies like Deadpool. Now we have Venom. And of course, Venom and Deadpool are two separately different type of anti-heroes, but they're still fun to watch. I definitely recommend you guys to go check it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Did you guys like it? Did you guys not? Let me know in the comment section down below. And remember, guys, keep on swinging.
Feel like a hubcap or a mud flat, beat strangler attack. So this ain't gonna feel like a love tap. Eat painkiller pills from a blood track, like what's her name's at the wheel. Then a cup patch through the car in the reverse at the Indian nut crash in India. The back of it just mangled, steal my Mustang. The Jeep Wrangler, the grill with the front smashed, much as